Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Phoenix. The stars looked peaceful through the main window. His coffee had gone cold again, but he didn't care. For 3 months he had been patrolling the edge of the solar system, watching for anything strange. Nothing ever happened out here. The year was 2387. Humans had finally learned to travel faster than light. Just 50 years ago, they had built colonies on 12 different worlds. Earth felt safe and strong. The universe seemed empty except for humans and their growing empire. "Sir, we're getting something weird on the long-range sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Peterson. From her station. She was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and quick fingers on the controls. Jake walked over to look at her screen. Dots appeared at the edge of their scanning range, lots of dots. More than he had ever seen before. "How many ships?" he asked. Amy's face went pale. "I count over 50,000, sir, maybe more." "They're too far away to get an exact number." Jake felt his stomach drop. 50,000 ships was more than all of humanity's fleets combined. He pressed the emergency button on his chair. "Get me Admiral Carter on Earth, Priority 1, he ordered. The main screen flickered to life. Admiral Lisa Carter appeared, sitting in her office on Earth. She was a tough woman in her 50s with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had led humanity's space forces for 10 years. "What's the situation, Commander?" she asked. "We have a massive fleet approaching from the Centauri sector. At least 50,000 ships, maybe more. They're moving toward Earth." Admiral Carter's expression didn't change, but Jake could see the worry in her eyes. "How long until they reach us?" "At their current speed, about 6 hours, Amy reported. "Keep watching them. I'm sending Captain Hughes and the Ranger to get a closer look. Don't do anything until I give orders." The screen went dark. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew of 20 people suddenly felt very small. They were just one ship facing an army. 2 hours later, the alien fleet sent a message. The communication came in a language no human had ever heard before, but somehow they could understand it. The aliens were using some kind of universal translator. The face that appeared on their screen was not human. It looked like a lizard that had learned to walk on 2 legs. Its skin was dark green with yellow patterns. Its eyes were red and cold. "I am Supreme Commander Vexthara of the Galactic Empire," the creature said. Its voice was deep and rough. "You are the species called humans. You will surrender your worlds to Imperial rule immediately." Jake felt his heart racing, but he kept his voice steady. "This is Commander Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We don't know anything about your empire. We're willing to talk." The lizard creature made a sound that might have been laughter. "Talk? You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. This is a demand. You will submit to the Empire or be destroyed. We have conquered over 10,000 species across the galaxy. You are just another primitive race to be absorbed." "We need time to contact our leaders," Jake said. "You have 1 hour," Vexthara replied. "After that, we will consider your silence an act of war." The screen went black. Jake immediately called Admiral Carter again. "Did you hear that?" he asked. "Every word," she replied. "Captain Hughes is sending us data from his reconnaissance mission. You need to see this." A new image appeared on the screen. Captain Ryan Hughes was a calm man in his 40s who had explored more of space than anyone else alive. His ship, the Ranger, was small but fast. "Admiral, I've completed my scan of the alien fleet," Hughes reported. "What I found is not good news. Their energy weapons are beyond anything we've ever seen. Their shields seem to be completely solid. And their fleet is actually bigger than we thought. I count over 200,000 ships." Jake felt sick. 200,000 ships. Earth's entire defense force had maybe 5,000 ships, and most of those were small patrol vessels like his own. "What about their technology?" Admiral Carter asked. "They're centuries ahead of us," Hughes continued. "Their smallest ships have more firepower than our biggest battleships. Their shields can stop anything we can throw at them. In a straight fight, we wouldn't last 10 minutes. Admiral Carter was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. "Commander Morrison, patch." Me through to the alien leader. Jake pressed some buttons, and Vexthara's ugly face appeared again. Have you decided to surrender? The alien asked. I've been thinking about your offer, Admiral Carter said. And I have a message for you and your empire. Speak. Admiral Carter leaned forward in her chair. Her voice was calm but strong. Come and take it. Vexthara's red eyes grew wider. You refuse to surrender? You know we will destroy you. Maybe, Admiral Carter replied. But you'll have to fight for every inch of space. We're not like the other species you've conquered. We don't give up. The alien leader made that laughing sound again. Your bravery is admirable but pointless. You have primitive weapons and a tiny fleet. We have conquered species far more advanced than you. In 3 days, we will arrive at your homeworld. Prepare to die. The screen went dark again. Jake looked at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for orders. Admiral, what are your orders? He asked. Lisa Carter's face appeared on the screen one more time. All ships, this is Admiral Carter. We are now at war with the Galactic Empire. We can't match their technology or numbers. But we have something they don't understand. We have the human spirit. We will fight them with everything we have. We will use every trick we know. We will make them pay for every system they take from us. She paused, looking directly at Jake through the screen. Commander Morrison, take your ship and start harassing their advanced scouts. Don't engage their main fleet. Hit and run. Make them think twice about coming here. Yes, ma'am, Jake replied. Daz. The Phoenix turned toward the alien fleet. Jake thought about Earth. His wife and daughter were there. His parents lived in New York. Billions of humans were going about their daily lives, not knowing that in 3 days everything might change forever. The aliens thought humans were just another weak species to be conquered. They had no idea what they were really facing. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other. They had learned to never give up, even when the odds were impossible. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. 3 days passed quickly. The alien fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system exactly when they said they would. Commander Jake Morrison watched from his ship as hundreds of thousands of enemy vessels moved toward Earth like a deadly cloud. General Marcus Stone sat in the underground command center on Earth. He was 55 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. For 30 years he had planned battles against human enemies. Now he faced something completely different. Sir, the alien fleet is taking formation, reported Colonel Amy Peterson. She had been promoted after her good work on the Phoenix. They're arranging themselves in a standard attack pattern. General Stone smiled coldly. Standard? That's exactly what I was hoping for. They think this will be like all their other conquests. They're wrong. He pressed a button on his desk. All ships, this is General Stone, execute Protocol Omega. I repeat, execute Protocol Omega. Across the solar system, human ships began to move, but they didn't form battle lines or attack formations. Instead, they scattered in all directions. Like leaves in the wind, mining ships, cargo vessels, passenger liners, and military ships all spread out across the system. Supreme Commander Vexthara stood on the bridge of his flagship. He watched the human ships running away and felt satisfied. This was how it always went. The primitive species would panic and flee when they saw the Empire's might. Shall we pursue them and destroy them? Asked his second-in-command. No need, Vexthara replied. Let them run. We will destroy their homeworld first. Then we will hunt down the survivors. But the human ships weren't running away. They were moving to hidden positions throughout the solar system, behind asteroids, inside gas clouds, and near the dark side of planets. They waited. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Peterson commanded a group of old mining ships. Each ship had been loaded with nuclear bombs and set to fly at maximum speed. Her mission was simple but deadly. Remember, she told her pilots over the radio, we only get one chance at this. Pick your targets and hit them hard. Don't worry about getting away. Just make sure you take them with you. Her ships raced toward the alien fleet. The Empire's sensors detected them easily, but the aliens were confused. Why would anyone attack with such weak ships? Why would they waste their vessels in suicide attacks? The first mining ship hit an alien cruiser at nearly the speed of light. The explosion was massive. The alien ship's shields tried to stop the impact, but they were designed for energy weapons, not for solid objects moving so fast. The alien ship broke apart. Then another mining ship hit a different target, and another. In 10 minutes, Amy's squadron had destroyed 15 alien ships while losing all 12 of their own. Impossible, Vexthara said as he watched the reports. No species fights like this. They're throwing away their ships for nothing. But it wasn't for nothing. Each human ship that died took aliens with them. And there were thousands more human ships hiding in the system. Captain Tony Martinez was an engineer, not a soldier. But now he controlled the most dangerous weapon in the solar system. He had turned the asteroid mining stations into giant guns that could shoot chunks of metal at incredible speeds. Target the alien command ship, he ordered his team. Load the railgun with a piece of iron the size of a car. Set it to maximum velocity, the railgun fired. The chunk of metal flew across space faster than any bullet. It hit the alien command ship's shield and passed right through it. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. The aliens had never seen weapons like this. Their shields could stop energy beams and plasma bolts. But they couldn't stop simple pieces of metal moving at nearly the speed of light. Dr. Helen Murphy worked in a secret laboratory on the moon. She was a scientist who studied energy and matter. For 3 days, she had been examining pieces of destroyed alien ships that Captain Hughes had collected. I found something, she told General Stone over a secure channel. Their shields work by vibrating at specific frequencies. They're incredibly advanced, but they follow a pattern. If we can match that pattern and reverse it, we can make their shields collapse. How long do you need? General Stone asked. Give me 6 hours, Dr. Murphy replied. I can build a weapon that will turn their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. While she worked, the battle continued. Human ships appeared from hiding spots all over the solar system. They would attack, destroy what they could, and then disappear again. The aliens tried to chase them, but the humans knew the solar system better than anyone. Commander Jake Morrison led his ship in an attack on an alien supply convoy. The Phoenix was small and fast, perfect for hit-and-run tactics. Fire everything we have, he ordered. Then get us out of here before they can respond. The Phoenix's weapons weren't very powerful, but they hit the alien ships in exactly the right spots. 2 supply ships exploded, and a third was badly damaged. Before the aliens could fight back, the Phoenix was already racing away toward an asteroid field. This was happening all over the solar system. Human ships would strike without warning and then vanish. The aliens had expected a quick, easy victory. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow the rules of war. After 1 week of fighting, the alien fleet had lost over 30,000 ships. But they had also moved deeper into the solar system. They were getting closer to Earth with each passing day. Vexthara was angry and confused. He had conquered hundreds of worlds, but none of them had fought like this. Other species either surrendered immediately or fought brief, hopeless battles before giving up. Humans kept fighting even when they were losing. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we're receiving strange energy readings from multiple human ships. They appear to be charging some kind of new weapon. Dr. Murphy had finished her work. All across the solar system, human ships were now equipped with resonance generators. These devices could make alien shields vibrate at the wrong frequency, causing them to fail. All ships, this is General Stone, came the voice over the radio. Dr. Murphy has given us a new weapon. Target the largest alien ships and activate your resonance generators on my mark. Jake Morrison looked at the device that had been installed on his ship. It didn't look like much, just a small box with wires and lights. But if Dr. Murphy was right, this simple device could change everything. 3, 2, 1, mark, General Stone ordered. Across the solar system, hundreds of human ships activated their resonance generators. The alien shields began to shake and vibrate. Then, one by one, they started to fail, for the first time since. The war began. Alien ships were completely defenseless. Human weapons that had been useless before now cut through enemy hulls like paper. The aliens watched in horror as their invincible fleet began to fall apart. The tide of battle was turning. But the war was far from over. 2 weeks had passed since the war began. The alien fleet had lost almost 50,000 ships, but they still controlled most of the outer solar system. They were getting closer to Earth every day. Commander Alex Thompson stood on the bridge of the Mars Defense Station. Mars was humanity's biggest colony after Earth, with over 10 million people living there. The planet's red surface was covered with cities and farms under protective domes. "Sir, the alien fleet is 3 hours away from Mars orbit," reported Lieutenant Ben Clark. "They have over 100,000 ships heading straight for us." Alex looked at the screens showing the approaching enemy. Mars had only 200 defense ships. It was not enough. "Not nearly enough. Contact General Stone on Earth," Alex ordered. "Tell him we need reinforcements immediately." The reply came back quickly. "No reinforcements available. All ships are defending other positions. You're on your own." Alex felt his stomach tighten. He had a wife and 2 children living in New Phoenix, the largest city on Mars. If the aliens took the planet, everyone he loved would die or become slaves. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Lieutenant Clark. Alex walked to the window and looked down at Mars. The planet had taken humans 50 years to make livable. They had built an atmosphere, created oceans, and turned the dead world into a home for millions. Now he was about to destroy it all. "Contact the terraforming stations," he said quietly. "Tell them to prepare for Emergency Protocol 7. Lieutenant Clark's face went pale. "Sir, that will turn the entire atmosphere into poison gas. Everyone on the planet will have to evacuate." "I know," Alex replied. "But if we don't do this, the aliens will take Mars and use it as a base to attack Earth. Sometimes you have to destroy something to save it." The evacuation ships began launching immediately. They could only carry half the population. The rest would have to stay and hope the emergency shelters would protect them. When the alien fleet arrived at Mars, they found something they didn't expect. The planet's atmosphere was glowing with a strange green light. The air itself had become a massive chemical weapon. "What is this?" Supreme Commander Vex Thara demanded as his ships entered Mars orbit. "The humans have turned their own planet into a weapon," his science officer reported. "The atmosphere is now a toxic gas that will eat through our hull materials. We can't land any troops." Vex Thara watched as 3 of his ships got too close to the planet. The poisonous atmosphere began eating through their armor like acid. The ships had to retreat quickly before they were destroyed. "They destroyed their own world to stop us," he said in disbelief. "What kind of species does that?" The answer came from Colonel Beth Adams, who was listening to intercepted alien communications from her ship hidden behind Mars' moon. She had been studying the aliens for weeks, trying to understand how they thought. "They're not used to enemies who will sacrifice everything to win," she reported to General Stone. "Every other species they conquered tried to save their people and their worlds. We're different. We'll burn everything down before we let them have it." Beth was right. The aliens had conquered thousands of worlds, but they had never faced an enemy like humans. Other species would surrender to save their planets and their people. Humans would destroy their own worlds to deny them to the enemy. Dr. Kevin Scott worked in a secret laboratory on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. He was a biologist who studied diseases and genetics. For days, he had been examining alien prisoners captured during the fighting. "I found something interesting," he told General Stone during a secure video call. "All the alien species in their empire are very similar genetically. They've been breeding them to be the same for thousands of years. What does that mean?" "General," Stone asked. "It means they all have the same weaknesses," Dr. Scott replied. "I can create a virus that will affect all of them at once. Their genetic similarity is their strength, but it's also their weakness." General Stone was quiet for a moment. Using biological weapons was against every rule of war that humans had ever made. But these weren't human enemies. These were aliens who wanted to enslave or destroy every person on Earth. "Do it," he ordered. "Create the virus." Meanwhile, Admiral Lisa Carter faced the hardest decision of her life. The alien fleet was now only 1 day away from Earth. They had sent a message saying they would destroy every city on the planet unless humanity surrendered immediately. "We can't stop them," reported Captain Sam Johnson, commander of the carrier Defiant. "They still have over 100,000 ships. We have maybe 5,000 left." Admiral Carter looked at the tactical display. The aliens were right. Humanity couldn't win this battle. But they could make the aliens pay a terrible price. "Captain Johnson, I have a special mission for you," she said. "Load the Defiant with every nuclear weapon we have left. I want you to ram their command ship." Sam Johnson was quiet for a long moment. He had served with Admiral Carter for 15 years. He knew what she was asking him to do. "It's been an honor serving with you, Admiral," he said finally. "The honor has been mine, Captain." The Defiant loaded every nuclear weapon in Earth's arsenal. Hydrogen bombs, fusion warheads, and experimental weapons that had never been tested. The ship became a flying bomb with enough power to destroy a small moon dot. As the Defiant flew toward the alien fleet, Sam Johnson thought about his home in Colorado. His parents had a farm there with horses and apple trees. He would never see it again, but maybe his sacrifice would save it. The aliens detected the approaching ship, but they thought it was just another desperate attack. They had seen hundreds of human ships try to ram their vessels. Their shields could stop anything, but the Defiant wasn't trying to ram just any ship. It was heading straight for Vexthara's flagship, the massive dreadnought at the center of the alien fleet. "Destroy that ship," Vexthara ordered. "Don't let it get close." Thousands of alien weapons fired at the Defiant. The ship's armor was destroyed, its engines were failing, and fires burned on every deck. But Sam Johnson kept flying toward his target. At the last second, he activated all the nuclear weapons at once. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from Earth. The alien flagship vanished in a ball of atomic fire. The shockwave destroyed 50 more alien ships and damaged hundreds of others. For the first time since the war began, Supreme Commander Vexthara was afraid. He had lost his flagship and barely escaped with his life. Thousands of his best officers were dead. "These humans are insane," he told his remaining commanders. "They fight like demons. They sacrifice everything for victory. How do we defeat an enemy that refuses to lose?" None of his officers had an answer. They had spent their lives conquering species that wanted to survive. They had never fought an enemy that was willing to die for freedom. The war was far from over, but something had changed. The aliens were no longer certain they could win, and for the first time, humans began to believe they might actually have a chance. 6 months had passed since the war began. The alien fleet was broken and confused. They had lost over half their ships, and their commanders were dead or missing. Supreme Commander Vexthara now commanded from a damaged cruiser instead of his. Mighty flagship. General Marcus Stone stood in the war room on Earth, looking at maps of star systems far from home. For the first time since the fighting started, humans were not just defending, they were attacking. "Sir, Operation Wildfire is ready to begin," reported Colonel Beth Adams. She had been promoted after her successful intelligence work. "We have 15 ships loaded with volunteers and equipped with captured alien technology." General Stone nodded. "Remember, this is not just about winning battles. We need to show the galaxy that the Empire can be defeated. Other species need to see that freedom is possible." Captain Frank Russell commanded the newest ship in the human fleet. The Liberty was built entirely from pieces of destroyed alien vessels. Human engineers had studied the wreckage and learned to copy the Empire's technology. "All ships, this is Captain Russell," he said over the radio. "Today we take the war to the enemy's home. We're going to show them what happens when you attack." Earth. The small human fleet activated their captured faster-than-light engines. In seconds, they vanished from the solar system. They were heading for Alpha Centauri, the nearest alien base. Dr. Maria Gonzalez worked in a laboratory on the Liberty. She was a scientist who studied alien behavior and psychology. For months, she had been interviewing captured alien prisoners. "Captain Russell, you need to hear this," she said over the ship's communication system. "I've learned something important about our enemies." "What is it, Doctor?" "They're not warriors," she replied. "The Empire's soldiers are not bred for fighting. They're administrators and bureaucrats. They've been conquering weak species for so long that they've forgotten how to fight against real resistance." Captain Russell thought about this information. It explained why the aliens had been so confused by human tactics. They were used to enemies who followed rules and fought in predictable ways. "Doctor, what happens if we attack their homeworlds?" he asked. "They'll panic," she replied. "They've never been attacked before. Their entire society is built on the idea that they're invincible. If we can prove they're not, their whole empire might collapse." The human fleet arrived at Proxima Centauri, the closest star to Earth. The system had been conquered by the Empire 50 years ago. Now it served as a major military base. Colonel Jerry Brooks led the ground assault team. He was a tough soldier who had fought in the asteroid belt wars before the aliens came. His mission was to capture the alien base and free any prisoners. "Remember," he told his troops, "we're not just here to destroy things. We're here to liberate. If we find enslaved species, we treat them as allies, not enemies." The attack began at dawn. Human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel right on top of the alien base. The defenders had no time to prepare. Their shields were down, their weapons were not ready, and their commanders were asleep. Within 3 hours, the base was captured. But what Jerry's soldiers found there horrified them. The alien base was not just a military installation. It was a slave camp. Billions of creatures from dozens of different species lived in metal cages. They had been working in factories and mines for generations. Their cultures were gone, their languages were forgotten, and their spirits were broken. "My God," whispered Sergeant Lisa Murphy as she opened one of the prison cells. Inside were creatures that looked like giant insects. They cowered in fear when they saw her. "We're here to help," she said gently. "We're here to set you free." The insect creatures didn't understand her words, but they understood her tone. For the first time in decades, they heard kindness instead of cruelty. Jerry Brooks found the prison records in the base's computer system. The Empire had enslaved over 300 different species. Some had been prisoners for thousands of years. Entire civilizations had been wiped out and turned into slave labor. "This is not just war," he reported to Captain Russell. "This is genocide. They're destroying entire cultures." Back on Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter received the reports from Proxima Centauri. She had been planning humanity's next move, but now she realized the war was about more than just defending Earth. "General Stone, we need to change our strategy," she said. "We're not just fighting for human survival anymore. We're fighting for the freedom of every species in the galaxy." General Stone looked at the pictures from the alien prison camps. Children of different species living in cages. Families torn apart and scattered across the galaxy. Entire civilizations reduced to slavery. "You're right," he said. "We can't just drive them away from Earth, we have to destroy their entire empire." The decision was made. Humanity would not stop at defending the solar system. They would carry the war to every corner of the galaxy until every enslaved species was free. But first, they had to survive the Empire's response. When news of the attack on Proxima Centauri reached the alien homeworld, the Empire's leaders were furious. "Send the Death Fleet," ordered High Commander Zex Kara, the Empire's supreme leader. "These humans must be destroyed completely. Make an example of them that will terrify every species in the galaxy." The Death Fleet was the Empire's most powerful weapon. It contained over 1 million ships and was commanded by the Empire's best generals. It had never been defeated. As the Death Fleet prepared to leave for Earth, CAPTU-RED alien communications were intercepted by human intelligence. Dr. Kevin Scott had finally completed his biological weapon. The virus was ready for use, Admiral Carter, he reported. The virus is loaded into delivery systems on 50 ships. When the Death Fleet arrives, we'll be ready for them. Admiral Carter looked at the approaching threat on her tactical display. 1 million enemy ships against maybe 10,000 human vessels. The odds were worse than ever. All ships, this is Admiral Carter, she broadcast to the entire human fleet. The Empire is sending everything they have to destroy us. They think we'll surrender when we see their numbers. She paused, thinking about all the humans who had died in the past 6 months. All the ships that had been destroyed. All the heroes who had sacrificed everything for freedom. They're wrong, she continued. We've learned something important about our enemies. They're not invincible. They can be beaten. And when we beat them, we'll free every slave in the galaxy. The Death Fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. 1 million ships in perfect formation, ready to destroy humanity once and for all. But they were flying into a trap. Humans had spent months preparing for this moment. Every asteroid, every planet, every moon was armed and ready. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. The Death Fleet arrived like a dark cloud covering the stars. 1 million alien ships stretched across space from Mercury to Jupiter. High Commander Zexkara commanded from the largest ship ever built, a massive vessel the size of a small moon. Look at this pathetic system, Zexkara said to his officers. A few primitive planets defended by insects. We will destroy them in one day and then hunt down every human in the galaxy. But Admiral Lisa Carter was ready. For 6 months, humanity had been preparing for this moment. Every ship, every weapon, every human in the solar system had one purpose: to stop the Death Fleet. All stations, this is Admiral Carter, she broadcast. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every enslaved species in the galaxy. Remember what we found at Proxima Centauri. Remember why we fight. The battle began when the Death Fleet moved toward Earth, but something was wrong. Alien ships began reporting system failures. Their computers were crashing. Their weapons were not working properly. Dr. Kevin Scott watched from his laboratory as his biological virus spread through the alien fleet. The virus did not kill the aliens, but it attacked their technology. Every alien device was infected and failing. It's working, he reported to Admiral Carter. The virus is spreading faster than they can stop it. Half their fleet is already affected, but even with half their ships disabled, the aliens still had 500,000 vessels. The odds were still impossible. Captain Peter Davis commanded the defense of the asteroid belt. His ships were hidden among the rocks, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When the alien fleet passed through, he gave the order. All ships. Attack now, hit them from every direction. Thousands of human ships emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. They struck the alien fleet from all sides, using every tactic they had learned during the war. Suicide attacks, poison gas, railgun strikes, and resonance weapons all hit the aliens at once. The Death Fleet began to fall apart. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Others spun out of control as their crews became sick from the virus. For the first time in thousands of years, the Empire's greatest weapon was being defeated. High Commander Zexkara watched his fleet being destroyed and felt something he had never experienced before: fear. These humans were not like any enemy the Empire had ever faced. They fought with a fury that seemed impossible. Sir, we're receiving surrender offers from multiple human ships, reported his communication officer. Finally, Zexkara said, they're coming to their senses. But the surrender offers were not what he expected. Instead of begging for mercy, the humans were offering to accept the aliens' surrender. This is Admiral Carter, came a voice over the radio. To all alien ships, you have one chance to surrender. Drop your shields and prepare to be boarded. Any ship that continues fighting will be destroyed, Zexkara laughed bitterly. They want us to surrender? They still only have a few thousand ships. But then he looked at his tactical display again. The Death Fleet now had fewer than 200,000 working ships. The humans had destroyed or disabled over 800,000 vessels in just 6 hours of fighting. "Sir, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy," another officer said nervously. "The slave species are rebelling. They've heard about the human victory and they're fighting back." This was the moment Admiral Carter had been hoping for. The galaxy's enslaved species had been waiting for a sign that the Empire could be defeated. The battle for Earth was that sign. On thousands of worlds, alien slaves broke their chains and rose up against their masters. Species that had been conquered, centuries ago, remembered what freedom meant. The Empire's strength, its vast number of enslaved worlds, had become its weakness. Captain Mike Torres led a mixed fleet of human ships and alien allies toward the Empire's capital world. Species that had been enemies for generations now fought, side by side against their common oppressor. "This is incredible," reported Dr. Maria Gonzalez from her position on the bridge. "I'm getting communications from over 50 different species. They're all joining the rebellion." The final battle took place above Zephyr Prime, the Empire's homeworld. It was a beautiful planet covered with crystal cities and floating gardens. For 10,000 years, it had been the center of galactic tyranny. Admiral Carter led the combined fleet herself. Humans, insectoids, reptilians, energy beings, and dozens of other species fought together. They were no longer separate races but united by a single idea: freedom. The battle was fierce but brief. The Empire's home fleet was already weakened by the virus and rebellions across the galaxy. When faced with a united galaxy fighting for freedom, they finally broke. High Commander Zexkara stood on his bridge as enemy ships surrounded his vessel. He could surrender and live as a prisoner, or he could fight and die as a warrior. But as he looked at the mixed fleet attacking him, he realized something that made him feel sick. The Empire had created its own defeat. By enslaving so many species, they had given them all a reason to hate the Empire. By ruling through fear, they had made enemies of everyone they conquered. The humans had not defeated the Empire alone. They had simply given everyone else the courage to fight. "All ships, cease fire," Zexkara ordered. "We surrender." The war was over. The Galactic Empire, which had ruled for 10,000 years, collapsed in less than 1 year of fighting against humanity, but victory came with a terrible price. Earth's population had been cut in half. Dozens of human colonies had been destroyed. Mars was still poisoned and would take decades to heal. The cost of freedom had been enormous. General Marcus Stone, now an old man with white hair and tired eyes, stood in the ruins of his command center. The building had been damaged in the final battle, but humanity had survived. "Was it worth it?" asked Captain Julie Adams, a young officer who represented the new generation of humans. General Stone looked at the reports coming in from across the galaxy. Freed slaves were returning to their homeworlds. Species that had been extinct were being revived from genetic samples. Art, music, and literature that had been banned for centuries were being rediscovered. "Ask me in 100 years," he said, "but I think so." The Galactic Federation was formed 1 year later. Unlike the Empire, it was based on voluntary cooperation instead of forced submission. Every species had an equal voice. Every world could choose its own path. Humanity became the Federation's protectors, not its rulers. Human ships patrolled the galaxy looking for signs of new tyranny. They carried a simple message to any species that thought about conquering others: freedom is not negotiable. Captain Julie Adams stood on the bridge of the newest Federation ship, the Freedom. She was exploring the galaxy not as a conqueror but as a liberator. Wherever she went, she carried humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy: the idea that no one should ever have to live in chains. The Empire had made one fatal mistake. They had assumed that all species would react to overwhelming force the same way. They never imagined meeting a species that would look at impossible odds and say the words that had started the rebellion: "Come and take it." The war was over. But humanity's mission had just begun. They would spend the next 1,000 years making sure that no species would ever again have to choose between freedom and survival. In a galaxy full of former slaves, humans had become the guardians of liberty. The Empire's greatest fear had come true. They had met a species that refused to be conquered, and that species had taught the galaxy a lesson that would never be forgotten: freedom is always worth fighting for.